They saying I'm the GOAT, I tell them I am redemption. Yeah, we build different.
All right, we are coming to you live from Podcast Studio Austin. Big shout out to our people over at Squatch Frontier Fitness. A couple weeks ago, I came in to do an episode. It was just a regular day, and one of the incredible actors that was playing in the movie had brought one of his close friends, and it was this beautiful woman sitting across from me, and I got to know her. We got to talk. We sat down. We had coffee. Realized that we have a lot of similarities with some of our journey and story and purpose in this world. And I was particularly interested when you started talking about your app, because it seems like your app addresses a major issue, I think, with our young people and young athletes in addressing mental health. And I love that we live in a world now. I was just talking before this episode began with somebody out there about how we live in this different world where mental health is talked about now with the social media world. It's a lot more accepted, but still people, they hold it in, you know what I mean? They don't talk about it outwardly and anything like that. So number one, anytime you can mix mental health and then anything having to do with the youth, I'm all aboard. So without further ado, Julie, how are we doing today?
Oh, I'm so much better now that I'm here with you.
Good.
When I met you a couple of weeks ago, actually when Lou introduced us, I immediately felt a connection to you. And I sometimes wonder if those connections feel stronger for you when it's somebody that has been through similar paths. Like, I don't know, it's almost like there's this immediate understanding that I can't ever place my finger on.
Yeah.
But it's usually that connection.
Yeah. I think like-minded people find each other. And as soon as you start realizing anybody that's willing to open up, I think that's the big first step. The first person in the room that's willing to open up and being like, look, I've been here, makes everybody else comfortable because they're like, oh, him too. And so I find that, you know, a lot of everything I do every day is sharing my experience, being outwardly and open with the things that I've been through in the past and how I use those to help other people now. So it always opens up these incredible conversations, and I make these connections with people, and every conversation is the same. But, you know, usually when somebody, the more vulnerable they get, I often can't remember names, but I'll remember their face, and I'll always remember some impactful part about their story, something they've dealt with, because that's the part that just sits with me.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And it's that journey that is so important to understand in those stories in people's lives. It really just adds a different depth of communication and depth of connection. It builds community. It builds that tribe that I think we all still yearn for, that that people used to live in as these tribes, and is creating that again.
Right. So you had started telling me about the app, and the one thing I know is I could tell immediately that it was purpose driven. And usually anytime something like that's purpose driven is because it's become from personal experience that we've had in our life. So we sat down and you shared a little bit about, you know, you growing up and just the experience that you had in your life that has brought you here to today. So just kind of painting a picture for somebody going back to when things weren't looking good in life. Like, what did that look like for you?
Yeah, well, it did start, you know, growing up, I dealt with a lot. I dealt with depression and anxiety. I did not know what that meant. I didn't know. I don't think I ever heard the word depression or anxiety or mental health. And so I started seeing my high school counselor, and she was just amazing, Mrs. Wilt. And I would go.
Mrs. Wilt.
Shout out to Mrs. Wilt. She would let me come in anytime. And so when I went off to college, I did the same thing. I started seeing my college counselor, but she was the one that said, Julie, I think you should go to therapy. And I was like, what's therapy? And she helped connect me with a therapist, and that was life-changing for me.
Yeah.
I had a lot that I needed to process and work through. It was challenging. Anytime, you know, you go through those steps of saying, this happened to me, I think there's something wrong. That's the hardest step. Going to see a therapist is the hardest step. Going to admit you have a problem is the hardest step. Once you cross over that step, once you take that step, life starts to open up. And so seeing that therapist really started to free me, because I was freeing all of these, everything that I had hidden deep inside of me. I was able to open up about that and really tell her everything that had gone on.
Yeah. Just to let people know, to kind of draw them in on the story, like in a general sense, I'm not asking you to out anything personal you don't want to talk about, but what were some of the things you were dealing with that would lead you to go to therapy? Because I don't think, in my experience, there's a lot of people that I think grew up like you or I did, where we bear that down. We don't need therapy. Therapy is weak. I started going to therapy and quickly realized all that got flipped on its head, because the weak thing in the world to do is bear that stuff down and not deal with it. The hard thing to do is to sit across from somebody and admit, you know what I mean, from me to another man or something like that some things are going on or that I need help. And so, like, what were the things you were dealing with that finally got you to say, okay, it's okay, maybe I do need to go talk to somebody?
Yeah. Well, I was born, I've always been extremely emotional. I'm an extremely emotional person. So shout out to Wimby for making crying okay.
Yeah.
Love that guy.
Yeah.
And then I also was raised in a home where my dad was a cop and my mom was a teacher. So I think, just understanding even how they were raised, and my dad seeing what he saw being a cop all those years, there's just a different dynamic of personalities and understanding what kind of fear he lived in, being a parent, seeing what he saw and how to handle that. And then me being an emotional young woman and growing in, it's just, there's a lot of different dynamics. And so when I went off to college, I really thought this was going to be it for me, right? Like my life was going to change and it was going to be so amazing. And it wasn't. I think, when you're raised a certain way, that can carry over into when you leave the house. And so I went through a lot without going into specifics, but, a lot of, I'll just phrase it like this, a lot of college women go through what I went through. And the reason I want to go into specifics is just because I like my kids and things like
Understood.
that. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. And so my freshman year was horrible, and I really had to work through that.
I mean, I'm sure I can guess, some of the stuff you were dealing with. And as a man, it was very eye-opening. My wife is very petite. And hearing her talk sometimes and hearing, I joke with her, I was like, why do you think you're going to get abducted everywhere you go? You think you're going to get stolen all the time? And she sat down and broke it down to me, and she goes, you have no idea what it's like to be afraid for your, you know what I mean? I don't deal with that. I don't walk outside and I'm like, oh, somebody's going to get me. But to be small like that or anything like that, that's just something I've never even comprehended. So to think about a woman going through that is just wrong on every shape and level. And for any man to ever put a woman in a position like that, to ever feel like that, just makes my blood boil. But one thing I wanted to go back to that we kind of breezed over was I'm a very heavy supporter of law enforcement, just because I've been on the other side of it, understand what they have to deal with. And now, doing work in the community, I've become close with a lot of the Austin Police Department officers and talked with them open, talked with them vulnerably, and saw a different side of them, and been invited into the department, sat down with the higher ups, and they've shared some very human things that cops deal with every day that I don't think people talk about or think about. And they see the news and they see the bad apples did this, and they want to demonize cops or law enforcement as a whole, and it's just very sad. And can you imagine signing up to do a job that essentially is now in today's world a thankless job? Completely thankless, and to go deal with people that are lying to you constantly. Just, you're dealing with the worst of the worst day in, day out. And I've had some of those officers share some of those stories just to paint a picture on, like, what do you deal with on a daily basis? And when you see some of the horrific things that they see with women and children and people and animals and everything every day, to think about doing that every day and then to go home, you know what I mean? We're not even talking about how this person was raised or how they were conditioned as a child, which I'm sure what is harder as we go back in time.
Yeah.
But to come home and then try to be dad, try to be husband, try to show up for your family, try to show up for yourself, your friend, man. It's just not saying anything bad that happened was okay or anything like that, but I want to bring light to, I don't think people often think about what law enforcement deals with.
Absolutely not. I think there are more resources now when it comes to mental health. because that was a long time ago. My dad was 18 when he went into law enforcement. He was the last graduating class that could go in at 18. And he was a HPD police officer. But they really had nothing back then. There was nothing to support them. And, that being one of there's many reasons why I have started Nui Sport. And when you think about not having a foundation to teach you how to support yourself mentally, how are you going to even support people around you? How are you going to support a family emotionally? It's impossible if you don't know how to do that on your own, if you don't have the tools and resources. So, it is absolutely feels like such a blessing to now be living in a society where it is talked about more, where we are seeing change. We still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
But, for law enforcement, it is so important to set them up with just a basic foundation of being able to navigate all that.
Absolutely. So you mentioned the app. What's the app called and what is the app? What does it do?
Yeah. The app is Nui Sport. Nui means bold in Hawaiian.
Okay.
So it's very intentional about choosing that name. Right now we work with coaches and athletes. We're setting up athletes so that when they log into the app, they see
Are we talking kids, grown-ups, all the above?
So really 14 to 25 right now. We're really focused on high school at the moment. We will grow into a collegiate atmosphere, but we're really focused on high school. If you think about it at a pro level now, pro swimmers, NBA players, they all have sports psychologists and are spending millions.
Yes, they are.
Collegiate athletes, their programs are focusing more on this now and bringing in people. And then still at a high school level, we have nothing. And these kids train year round and pressure from all sorts. You can't, everyone's on social media. You can't avoid that. There has to be comparison naturally. When we were growing up, we probably saw, I compared myself from magazines,
Just for a moment, can you imagine, think about how everything that happened in school was like the biggest thing ever. Like your life was over. And we did it when there was no social media. I can't even fathom trying to do it now.
Yeah.
Can't even fathom.
Well, not only that, they see where all of their friends are in real time.
Yep.
So if everyone else is get invited to this party and you're not, you see it. Yeah. So it's really being intentional about setting these, starting with athletes or competitors, I should say, up in a space where they just learn about checking in. And that just looks like an emoji scale. They check in on an emoji scale. We give them prompts. If it's like low-key killing it today, we give them a prompt on that if they need to work on things. And then they can journal about it. And that can be anywhere from one sentence to more than that. But it gives them an opportunity just to say, yesterday personally, I put in there, I was like, I was feeling super strong. And I was like, the only reason I'm feeling this way is because I've had 3 cups of coffee, and that wasn't it. It's meant to be a place where, yes, you can log in and be serious. You can log in and just be real, like where you are in the moment.
Right.
But if we have a better understanding of who we are and logging in every day, having this oh gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? It's strong in my mind right now. If we have a way to have that internal rating, even if it's under 10 seconds, it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
And then you can go back. We have a graph and it shows you where you've been logging in, what you wrote for that day. And so then they can start to see it. That is step one. And we're staying at step one for a little while because we want to really get competitors used to the idea of all we want you to do right now is check in. We do have already set in place areas that we will add to the app. We have a list of storytellers from former NBA players to Olympians to D3 players talking about where they were mentally, how they wish they would have had this, what they do now. So we have a library of stories we'll be adding, and then we'll also be adding resources because can't tell you how many people reach out to me saying, do you know sports psychologists? Do you know of anyone? Can you help me? And I'm constantly connecting with people. So we want to be able to do that through the app and make it really easy. From the coach's side, this is where it's just I'm so excited about this part of it because it's a new feature we've added. When the players log in, the coaches see numerically on a scale of 1 to 10 where their team is. So when their players log in, an hour before practice, the coaches get an idea of where they are. And then if their team's scoring low and they're all at a 3 and the team morale is low, we give them tips on what they can do to go and work with their athletes on. And it takes less than 5 minutes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And so, for coaches out there, and goodness, coaches get a lot of flack from parents and, players.
Yep.
And, it's a tough job. And I know that they're doing the best they can. And I will say over the last 4 years since I've started this, I have seen more coaches say, we want to help, we want to better understand this generation. And I think that's just saying so much.
Yeah.
It's just saying so much. And they're really wanting to see and make a change and understand how they can support in different ways.
I feel like it's a no-brainer to get involved in some of this right now. If nothing more than just the number one, the aspect that this is such a social media and driven world, just the mental health effects of what that's doing. And then I'm sure they're looking at screens all day in school and all that. All that has to take a toll. And so coaches don't know coaches know shit about sports. They know nothing about mental health. And so it seems so seamless and practical to say, hey, if you're going to be on this team, you are going to check into this app. And it's the best tool in the world for a coach to know where their players are at, where their head's at, how they're doing that day, if something's going on at home, how they can get to it before something truly bad happens. And then, you're talking about athletes and the way this world is now, especially with going and playing college ball and all that, they're playing year round. You're in college now, they're getting paid massive amounts of money and all that. Like, if you don't start talking to them about mental health or addressing them and getting them to have a good, strong foundation now, what do you think is going to happen when they get money in their hands or any of the other stuff that comes with it? Yeah,
and then one of the many other reasons I started this. So, yeah, let me go back just a little bit, but I kind of let me go back a little bit. I started noticing that I really needed to start paying attention to my mental health every day. Like, I needed to take it as seriously as I did working out and taking care of my body. And in my 40s, I was going through a lot. And when I started to become more intentional about that, it didn't happen right away. But maybe after a month, I saw myself feeling like maybe my nervous system feels a little better today, or just for today. And then I started noticing, I'm feeling better 2 days in a row now. And it was really interesting to see that when I was intentional about that, and when you become intentional about things in your life that you really care about, how it evolves. And so I started on that path. And then going back to what you were talking about with coaches and collegiate athletes, and where I had a coach approach me and he said, we're really seeing a difference in our college athletes, their emotional regulation, and we're trying to navigate that. And he was like, I heard you work in mental health. And I was like, I do. Because I did get my master's in counseling 20 years ago, and I've always worked in the profession. And then my son started playing club basketball. I have 2 kids. He's just the one that started in sports first. And I was just like, wow, he always used to just have so much fun with sports. And why does it seem like he's not? And he's 11. So I started paying attention to the other players on his team, and they didn't really seem like they were having that much fun.
Wow.
And I was like, what is it about club sports? Like, I couldn't figure out what was going on here. So I started to do a bunch of research around mental health in athletes at a collegiate level, at a youth level, started to learn more. And that's when I realized that something needed to be done. That came, out of being a parent and caring not just about my own kids, but their kids, thinking about how this generation is going to be leading our country one day.
Yep.
And how athletes kind of naturally sometimes become those leaders or lead corporations. And how do we equip them to take on all that we're giving them?
Mm-hmm.
Like how do we do that? And then going back to that coach, if these athletes choose to go on to play collegiately, then how do we equip them to be able to go on and play at a college level? So these coaches are not seeing, so the coaches are seeing athletes that come in and are prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know we shared this when we first met and we had spoke, but one of the first things I started doing when I got sober was mentoring at-risk youth.
Mm-hmm.
So I was growing up, my mother had a program called the National Youth Sport Program, and that was my first instance around that, was watching counseling going on and sports programs and all that. So anything where I can get involved with kids and help out, it's always been fun to me. And where was I going with this? I forgot where I was going with that.
That's
Damn.
Yeah.
So now we've go ahead, what were you gonna say?
Yeah. So you were talking about your mom and youth sports, and then before that, I was saying equipping athletes to play in college and for life.
I forgot
I
where
don't
I
know
was going with that.
That's okay. We can come back.
But so it was working with at-risk youth and working with youth and all that, and so I got a passion for it. I started doing the speaking and all that, and so I immediately started reaching out to the high schools and the schools in this area to try to speak there, and I was blown away with how much yellow tape I was met with. And I've spoken at some really big places that I'm very proud of. I do this in a very professional sense. I've been doing it for quite a while, so I'm very proud of what I'm able to do and the people I'm able to reach and what I do. And so to have them be like, we got it under control, we got it handled, like they couldn't have been less interested in having someone like me come in. And I go to these schools because I continually see fentanyl deaths on the news. And, I never even saw hard drugs till I was out of high school. And so for these kids now to be so young and middle and grade school and to be around these things, or, they could take a pill that it's in and all these things. And so I just know in school and when I was there and anything I've heard now, there's no attention on anything like that, or there's no attention on mental health. And how can there not be with the social media world and everything that they're dealing with? And so I don't see how a school couldn't get behind this, because it seems like, hey, this is a huge area that we're not addressing as far as mental health goes, and this is a very easy fix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What I feel like schools are rallying behind is the app is a tool, but what they really want to see is, can you bring in people to speak to our coaches? Can you bring in the right people to speak to our athletes? And that connection, that community is what they're really, what I feel like, or what I've heard from, let me rephrase that. When I go in and I speak to these high schools, that's what they want. They're like, we love the app and that's going to be awesome that they can check in, but we need something throughout the year. Not even a one-time come in and speak.
Mm-hmm.
We need people to help facilitate the right messaging to our coaches, to our athletes.
Yeah.
And so it's been
almost like a workshop.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have, exactly. So we are creating these workshops for coaches and athletes, just depending on what the school is, we tailor it to what their needs are. And I think that bringing in that community is what's really going to make change. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Along with the app.
Does it have are you guys doing anything with AI with it?
We are. So that'll be on our next update. So when the kids or athletes, let me rephrase that, when the athletes log in and let's say they're scoring low, we're going to say, hey, here's 3 questions. Is it confidence, or what are your top 3? And then they can answer that. And then AI will give them suggestions on the exact things that they need to do based on their feedback. Right now we have routines that they can work on. And that's where if they want to meditate, they can pull that up and there's a 2-minute meditation.
Gotcha.
But yeah, we will. And same thing for coaches. It'll give them a playbook. It'll give them a playbook of what they need to do next.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. I know when we originally sat down and talked, faith was a topic that came up for us both. And, we both have some powerful experiences that have made that so. Yeah. It's been an interesting journey for me over these past couple of years and continuing to grow my relationship with God and understand it and everything like that. But I have to believe that when we make connections like this and, when we sat down that first day and talked, that it's God bringing us together for for a reason. Has God always been like prominent in your life?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, I told you I'm emotional. I'm starting to get emotional right now. Oh goodness, yes. I started going to church at 7, and I'll never forget when I walked into church. I just felt an energy. I'm an energy person.
Okay.
When people ask me about art, and I'm like, it's an energy. I have to feel something, and that was when I was 7 and I walked into church. Now, my relationship with God is, there were times, especially in my early 40s, when I became a single mom and my kids were 3 and 6, and I was really mad at God. And guess what? God still loves you.
Yeah.
And that was powerful for me to see through a really tough journey. It's not that we're not going to have challenges in life, but if you really can lean into God and that He will love you through it. That's what I've learned. That's what I learned from that.
Yeah.
Is it may not change, but if you lean into God's love, you will have support and the resources and the right people that will come your way.
Yeah. It's funny. The more I openly talk about this publicly and share with people and all that, I can remember I spoke with somebody not long ago, and they were saying how they're like, I just don't feel that internal guilt that I need to pray every day or anything like that. And I understand that train of thought because I used to be like that. And I also, but then I started thinking about it. It's like any other relationship you have in your life. If you nurture that relationship, if you seek more of it, if you practice it, if you do that all the time, it grows and gets better. It's not, it doesn't just happen. And so for people, they're like, it's not really my thing. It's like, have you put forth any effort in it at all? And then, but then it's cool. I never thought I'd be the dude that was outwardly talking about God or, and I'm definitely not a Bible thumper or anything, but you get into, I don't want to say dirty waters, but people have that one way. My relationship with God is always not changing, but it's growing and a different understanding. And there's some people that have this one track way of like, this is how it is. This is the only way you do it. And you need to do it like this. And I don't necessarily vibe with that. And so it's like having a relationship with God is different than following like a religion.
Yes, it's personal. And my relationship with God is so much bigger than it's ever been because I used to view God as an authoritarian. That everything I do, like everything I was doing that was wrong, I was in trouble.
Yep.
And when I let go of that and I started to understand the expansion and the love, especially as being a parent, like my kids, I'm going to mess up. My kids are going to mess up. I love them so much. like my heart could come out of my chest.
There's nothing in this world like a mother's love.
No. And so when I started to realize like, wait, God loves me actually more than I even love my kids. And I can't fathom that. That's how much His love is.
Yep.
And so when I started to let go of the fact that God is not authoritarian, we make good choices. We make choices that don't serve Him. When we make those choices, have a conversation. Like, I need your help. And that you will get the help. And also I think it's interesting that you brought up prayer because I have like this processing disorder. It's pretty interesting. People don't usually understand it. So my brain, it's not like ADD or ADHD, but it can be pretty ping-pongy up there. I'm like, ding, ding, ding. And so when I would pray, I found myself getting off track and I meditate and I do all these things. And then I would beat myself up about, I'm not praying right.
Yeah.
Wait, what is the right way to pray? What the right way to pray is between you and God. And so God knows my heart. He knows if I get off track, I'll come back. And even if it's 5 minutes or maybe it's at lunch, I'm like, oh, hi again.
Right.
And I think when we just come from a place of love, God is love, then yeah, it's not what others tell us to do on our personal relationship with God. It's your relationship
right.
with God.
Your relationship, your understanding, not anybody else's.
Yeah.
And we grow up with this preconceived notion with how it's supposed to be, and like what the way I was told doesn't speak to me. This way I've discovered speaks to me deeply. And so I've always enjoyed, I feel like I'm a good bridge for God, because I'm not somebody that's going to sit there and pepper you with stuff from the Bible, but I'll outwardly talk about God, and it opens up the conversation for a lot of people, which it was cool.
Same.
You made me think of something. You talk about your love for your kids, and I tell people all the time, I always thought I knew what I put my parents through with my addiction and everything, but until I saw on the documentary their side, and you know what I mean, they said a lot of things in the documentary they wouldn't have said to me, and so it gave me a whole different perspective. But I was you never saw the documentary, right?
No.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I was going to I was in Iraq, and I had saved more money than I had ever had up to that point, and I had a plan. I was going to come home on leave from Iraq for my mother's birthday, and I was going to buy her something really nice and do something cool. And so I was coming home. I came home on leave. It was my first day back, and there was a surprise party for my mother and I. It was because I was home from Iraq, and it was her birthday. So surprise party for her birthday. I decided it was a good idea that I had a couple hours that I could go run and get some drugs before I would go to this party, and I ended up getting popped. And so here I am getting arrested for heroin possession on leave from Iraq during wartime. None of this is good. And I have to call my mom at 2 a.m. to let her know why I wasn't at the party. I've now embarrassed her in front of the entire family. They obviously know something's bad, and I got to call her at 2 a.m. to tell her I'm in jail. And so it was supposed to be this big trip of me coming home and them being so proud and me being in uniform, and here I am getting popped. And so I go see the judge the next morning, and I remember I was just like, what have I done? How did I do this? And they ended up giving me a bond, and I get out and I go out to the car, or I go out and I see my mom sitting there waiting for me that morning. And I go walking over to her car, and I get in the car, and it's like bags under her eyes, obviously crying all night. And immediately I get in and I start hitting her with the excuses of like, Mom, it's it. And she just looked at me in that mom way, and she's just like, don't. And I was just like, oh, it just cut me to my soul. And so we're driving down the road, and I remember all I could think about was like, man, I want a cigarette so bad. Like just completely being selfish of like, I need a cigarette. I've been in jail all night. And we're driving down the road. It's dead silence. And she pulled into a McDonald's. And I looked over at her. I was like, what are we doing? And she looked over with tears in her eyes, and she goes, I figured you were hungry. And my heart sank to my feet. And that is like the one story that I have that it's just like, only a mother's love could you come home in a situation like that and embarrass her in front of the entire family. And of course, man, it's going to make me cry.
I know.
And her be the one that's still waiting there for me that next morning. And her first thought is, I thought you were hungry. Like, I mean, if that doesn't put you in the context of a mother's love, or what we as addicts or people out here that are out here doing what we're not supposed to be doing, like, I don't think people can understand what you're doing to the people that love you, or the unconditional love that your family has for you. So thank you to all the moms out there.
Yeah. Thank you for that story. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's good. That's what this is about, right?
100%.
And to see, yeah, like your mom's love through that, and even God's grace over all that. It is so hard, you know. I haven't dealt with that yet. Or let me not say that. Let me go back. I haven't dealt with that specifically, what your mom went through. I have heard so many stories, you know, of moms and kids, and when they have gone through like addiction, or, you know, they relapsed. And it's incredible the stories I do hear about mothers. And one guy even told me, he was like, the only reason I actually quit was because I had to do it for my mom.
Damn.
And I was like, yeah. So it's pretty incredible.
What was it like? I forget. I know you had come to set the one day, and we're on scene for some of the movie. Well, I don't know what scene did you end up catching that day?
Yeah. So I, when I walked in, it was, so I don't remember the actors' names, but Lou was your dad. And then
it was a family scene though?
It was a family scene. They were in the kitchen. Your mom was on the phone, and then your sister was mad. Okay. She was basically like, what makes you think this is really going to change? And, you know, talking about running, and like, what do you think, what makes you think he's really going to change this time, or something like it was. so powerful.
What's it like for you to just walk in and like, hey, I'm going to a movie set, and this is what you end up seeing, and you end up getting a little bit of context around the story? Because it's cool. It's cool for me to have just told you that story. You know what I mean? For that be just such a painful moment in me and my mother's life, but to know and understand now, I could have never saw it back then, but to know God was architect and all that, so it could be used for this today to help people, and that's
right.
what. People talk about setting goals like you have no idea where this could go. You have no idea with the turmoil you're going through right now, the adversity you're going through, why. There's a reason. It's not for nothing. If you don't do anything with it, then it was for nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. If you lean into it, right? It's like, when they say, here, God's giving you a raft, here's another one here. If you take it, there's going to be many blessings and your story will change so many people's lives. But if you don't, then you're not. And so that is the beauty about this. It's just like, that is a message. Like if we could just bring it, like, don't give up. If you're relapsing again and again, like, don't give up. Just keep going. And what it was like for me, coming in that movie set, Lou had informed me about your story, and I was just like, wow, that's so powerful. But then when you see it live and in action, and that cast is amazing.
Very good.
Really good. I mean, it hit me hard. It really hit me hard.
Well, it was very cool for you to be there and see, and for us to be able to talk about. So
Yeah,
once again, all God bringing things together.
for sure. Yeah.
So how can, let's say somebody's listening to this, they're interested they want to get their school or their kids' team or something like that involved with the app. How can they get a hold of you? How can they get a hold of them? And how can they get this incorporated with their school?
Yes. Anybody can email me anytime when it's related to mental health or app, whatever. Reach out to me. I'm happy to be a resource and help in any way I can. But my email address is Julie@Nui Sport. That is NUI Sport, SPORT.com. You can go on our socials on Instagram. It's Nui Community, NUI Community. And just if a coach is interested, it doesn't always have to start from the athletic director. A lot of times I've had many coaches reach out to me and they want to start it just with their team. And then sometimes it will then grow into a connection with the AD, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to. There's many ways that we work with teams and set up your team and set you up with the app to, it's like to walk along aside what your goals are. And that's something that really rings true to us. I've been working with Brendan Hansen. He was a 3-time Olympian and gold medal winner and swimmer. And he's actually going to be working with the Austin High basketball team specifically because the coach really resonated with his story. And what Brendan did is he said, what do you want to get out of this? When I walk away from your athletes, what do you want to see? And so that's a part of our mission is we want to walk alongside you. We want to be able to work with your goals and your expectations and just be, like, I don't want to, not the word cheerleader. We want to be able to support you.
Awesome.
Just to be able to support you and your team and hopefully your school.
Love that. Yeah. Love that. I hope they do. I got a bit of a fun question for you. This is a hypothetical, right? So tonight, let's say you're walking out for the women's UFC championship of the world. Tonight, what is your walkout song? What is that walkout song that when you walk out just makes you feel like Julie has arrived? She is here.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I have to think on that. I'm so glad this isn't live.
That one that makes you feel like a badass. Here, you think about it, and I'm going to say something to the camera, right?
Okay.
If you are listening to, but make sure you think about it.
Okay, I am.
Right?
I'm thinking about it.
If you are listening to this, I don't know why you haven't tuned in to our Thursday Zoom call. It's called We Are All Recovering from Something. If you are listening to I Am Redemption, I'm inviting you right now to tune into our Zoom call. We literally have people from all over the world who hop on every Thursday night, 6 p.m. Central. If you are in the Austin area, I invite you out to any of our runs. All paces are welcome. These are run groups for people that are just getting involved in running, people that have been running for a while that want to come support people newly getting in running. I'm inviting you out. We meet every Tuesday, Thursday, or Saturday. And then right here East Austin, 701 Tillery. We have the Monday men's meeting. We have wing night. We do bonfires, throw meat out on the grill. We do a men's meeting exactly like it should be. So I'm inviting you to tune in with I Am Redemption. Anything we got going on in the community, you can always text 53555 if you want to donate, or go to IamRedemption.org. Man, I feel like I did pretty good with that.
That's awesome.
That was a clip. We're going to clip that up right there. I like it.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Good. That gave me some time. Okay. So you said UFC championship, and that's my song when I walk out.
Just that one song, or maybe when you're walking into the gym, that just like
Yeah. This is so powerful for me to say right now because it has taken me 49 years to be a confident woman, not lying.
Okay.
And so my song would be Alicia Keys, This Girl Is on Fire.
Love it.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah.
That's a goosebump song right there.
Yeah.
I love it. What would you, someone that, has heard a little bit of your journey, or maybe they have, kids that are, athletes that are coming up or any of that stuff, and they really resonate with everything you're saying. What's your message for them? Maybe they've been through what you've been through as a child. Maybe they're going through what you've been through as a mom. What's your message?
My message is to find your community. For so long, I tried to go at it alone. And that doesn't, we need to be connected with people because we will all go through times. It may not be your story. It may not be my story, but find your person that you trust more than anything. I tell my kids, I'm like, we are each other's people. We call each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's a non-negotiable in this household. If you feel like you are having a hard time and you're feeling hopeless, it's not hopeless. You call your person. That is my number one thing. Have your person. Have your person.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much for taking the time. I'm excited we finally made this happen. We were shifting a little bit, trying to make the day happen. So is there anything else that you want to drop on the people? Let them know before you go.
Yeah, just thank you for having me.
My honor.
I mean, thank you for having me. Thank you for sharing your message, for being the shining star that you are.
Thank you.
And for God is definitely speaking through you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If there's anything I can do or I Am Redemption can do and help supporting you, or anything with the kids, coming to speak, any of that, say the word and I'm there.
I will. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Now, hopefully you didn't forget the way we like to wrap up the show.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you to take a look in your camera out here and throw out a couple I am statements to let the people know who Julie truly is.
Okay. I am a mother. I'm so proud of that. And I am a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Well, you are a badass, and I can't thank you enough. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
It's cold, we gon' keep that flame. Bring energy in the rooms, you won't leave the same. Scars on my back, I'ma stand up straight. Morals about to guide me down the road I take. What's the price of redemption? Hard work and dedication. You need a reason to live, well, I'ma put one in your faces. They got it all confused about the talent that it takes. It just take a little effort, the opportunities, man. We shift. Take a lesson with the